Good afternoon again. We are back. Let me introduce our speaker. I have the honor to introduce Jeff Simmons, the President and CEO of Elanco Animal Health. Jeff Simmons serves as President and Chief Executive Officer of Elanco Animal Health, a global leader with nearly 70 years of track record of growth. Elanco provides comprehensive products and knowledge services to improve animal health, welfare, and food for animal production across 19 species in almost 100 countries. Under Jeff's leadership, Elanco has established a unique innovation engine with 5 new businesses, including a $2.5 billion pet health business, leading aquaculture business. Elanco is grounded in delivering a higher purpose, food and companionship, enriching life. Rooted in the vision that agriculture can be part of a solution to climate change, Elanco is the first independent animal health company to set commitments aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Elanco is developing and delivering a portfolio of new products and solutions designed to make a tangible, positive impact on reducing climate change. Beyond his leadership with Elanco, Jeff is engaged in multiple community-based organizations that work to improve the lives of people within central Indiana and well beyond. His community commitments include Hatch for Hunger, Food Secure Indy, and Edge Mentoring. Hey, please join me in welcoming Jeff Simmons.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Good to be back together, huh? Listen, it's an honor, thank you, Mario, to be here at the Economic Club of Indiana and to be with all of you. I think as Hoosiers in this room, I'd like to make a few opening comments, but I think there is no question we are in one of the most exciting, historical, pivotal times as a country, as a state, and as a city. So I want to emphasize, as a leader and as a employer in this city and state, I want to start by saying, look, I'm going to look in the mirror of accountability, and that'll be the backdrop of a lot of my comments, as well as looking out the window of opportunity that we see for this city. So my goal is to provoke a little thought, not to necessarily have you all agree with me, to foster some action. I've kind of been known to do that. And I look forward to having some question and answers, but I thought I would start with a few prepared comments. I've talked to a lot of people in the room, and I'm trying to, share a little bit of my thoughts, but as well as a backdrop of some others as well. First, a quick update on Elanco. Elanco Animal Health, as shared by Mario, we are the second largest publicly traded animal health company. A little over $2.5 billion of sales in 2021, nearly 70 years, as mentioned, all here in Indiana. We're all about innovation to improve the health of animals. We have the longest standing brand in animal health. We serve farmers, veterinarians, and pet owners all over the world. 200 brands in about 19 species, 100 countries, and about 10,000 employees. We're split pretty evenly between farm animal and pets, as well as U.S. and international. We did begin as a division of Eli Lilly and Company. Eli Lilly and Company is initials for our name. That's why it's Elanco, not Elanco. We work on that with our investors on a regular basis. We became an IPO and an independent company in 2018. Soon after that, in 2020, we acquired Bayer Animal Health. That increased our size by about 40%. Listen, candidly, the past few years, as we all know, have been challenging. And that came with, of course, COVID, but we also had the largest animal pandemic maybe we've had in a century with African swine fever that wiped out a lot of our industry, especially in Asia. Now we're faced with this global recession and slowdown and supply challenges, but I would say our industry is diverse. It's durable. Our employees, our team members, I don't call them employees, our team has responded, and a lot of them are here today, beyond anything we could have ever expected. And we stand here today with one of the most compelling value propositions and maybe in our entire 70 years. By the end of this quarter that we're in today, we will finish and be this fully independent company where we'll stand up our systems from Bayer and be totally independent from that acquisition. We've reported 7 quarters of margin or EBITDA expansion in the face of significant inflation. And we are now beginning to launch the most significant pipeline we've had in 70 years. We plan to launch between $600 and $700 million of innovation by 2025. That will include 5 blockbusters. For us, that's a little over $100 million per product, major products in big spaces between now and the first half of 2024. Our greatest era of innovation and growth and impacting society really lies ahead of us in the next 24 to 30 months. We also have a vision here locally that I think impacts all of us in this room, and that is we want to build Elanco into a major global company headquartered here in this city with significant research labs, with manufacturing, with many capabilities, employing hundreds of people, well-paid jobs, and what you can feel good about is impacting society in a very big way. Making Indianapolis also, in addition to just the legacy of being here 70 years, we want to build an epicenter to actually bring other companies, other innovations to Indianapolis to reach the world's animals. I want to add context. A mentor to many people in this room is Jim Morris. And he always says, hey, Jeff, and he led some of our advisory groups over the years, look at things in the greatest context. So let me lay out the context of Elanco and Animal Health and how it impacts Hoosiers. We are dedicated, as shared by Mario, to enriching people's lives through animals. We say in Elanco, by making animals' lives better, you make life better. We saw that in COVID. That's pets and proteins. We touch almost every Hoosier every day. From pets and how they impact mental health, they reduce anxiety, this whole social isolation that's occurring. And on the protein side, you know, animal protein is all around the diet, and the best way of medicine is a good diet. And increased protein diets have helped with everything from diabetes to obesity. Now we're moving to the role of livestock actually reducing methane and actually playing a role in that going forward. So many innovations to go across animal health, human health, and now environmental health. So the common question the last year has been, hey, tell us about the building, the headquarters. But I want to really actually tell you 2 things we said at our groundbreaking that matter most to this room. First, we said we want to create a destination, not an obligation. What we were getting at is we knew coming into a post-COVID world, not many people are building buildings, by the way. And we said, hey, we want a place where people want to go, they want to work, rather than a place that they have to. A place where there's purposeful work, there's collaboration, there's innovating science, and what else everyone wants ultimately is community. And we can get into that in the discussion. We also shared something else, which is we want to build an epicenter to where we can help other innovators and companies reach the world's animals out of this city. Those are the 2 things much more important than the building itself. We are one of the only independent companies, as mentioned, that have systems, regulatory, supply chain, and relationships on the ground in over 100 countries where we can gain access to animals. Let me put an application to this. I just returned yesterday from the largest vet show in Florida, 28,000 vets. We launched the first SGLT2 inhibitor called Bexacat for feline or cat diabetes. This actually came from a small innovator in Boston that we licensed last year. Now think about this. We're eliminating giving a cat 2 shots daily of insulin. Try doing that. It's not fun. And we're moving to allow pet owners to actually give them 1 flavored tablet a day. We're taking syringes out of the hands of pet owners and making it much easier for them. But more importantly is we took an innovation from a great innovator in Boston and we gave him access to the feline market globally. If you're not into cats, maybe you're into the climate. So the other deal we did last year was with a major company, DSM in Europe, where we actually licensed a technology, a game-changing technology that they didn't have access to American farmers. We have sales, analytics, technical support, regulatory, and this product is called 3NOP. It will be a game-changing innovation. What it does is it actually improves the cow's digestive system by inhibiting methane production, 30 to 50% reduction in the methane produced by cows. Climate neutral farming, everybody, will happen in this decade. We'll see it in this decade, and Elanco's role is very significant in making that happen. Once approved, we hope this product will be manufactured right here in Indiana. In addition to new technologies, we believe incubating companies is also important in the epicenter. And in the last 2 years, we've started 3 different companies, either directly in startup or spinning them out. I want to also mention briefly about the CHIPS Act. Indiana is well positioned to be an innovation leader. We have some of the best research universities at Purdue and IU. We have an incubator groups like Agronovis and BioCrossroads and 16 Tech. And we have some of the biggest life science players that have a lot of momentum right now in Lilly and Roche and Corteva and others. And we have a senator in Senator Young that has done a lot with this CHIPS Act and championing it. And the idea is to improve America's competitiveness in science and technology. Indianapolis can and should be, everybody, and this is important, a breakthrough innovation hub that will create the CHIPS Act, and that will drive investment, that will drive job creation, it will expand innovation capacity for this country, and it can be done right here in this city. So now I want to really transition to a little bit of reality and a little bit of edge. There's many things going right in this city. I want everyone to know that and hear that from me. We have significant, though, realities that it's going to make Indianapolis, if we're going to make Indianapolis a destination for talent, companies, and innovators, not to get them to visit, but to relocate, we've got work to do. Let's look at these realities. There's a lot of talk that's been highlighted, even from this podium, on healthcare and education. Critical, long-term issues that are great underpinnings for a great state, and very important. But I think today, I think we would all agree, we can't overlook the needs in downtown, in the inner city of Indianapolis. We have many success stories, from the updated roads to the East Side Bottle Works project to the West Side 16 Tech. There's a lot of things we were talking at our table that are going right and are happening. But we have a lot of work yet to do. And I don't think Indy's unique. This is happening in cities all over the world. But listen, we are in a global economy, and everything I just talked about is directly connected to the global economy. And if we don't do it fast enough, others will. Please know that you're looking at a leader and a company in Elanco, and myself personally, we're all in. We've made our decisions. We've chosen this. And so we want to serve as a catalyst to transform and to drive change on the trajectory inside this city. Today, we're in a perfect storm. Everybody knows this. I'm sure it's been a talk at your tables, that post-COVID, we're living in a different world right now, where you can work from anywhere. You can move, you can transfer, you can go wherever you want. We also are in an economic slowdown right now. We have capital markets that are very sensitive. We have more political divide maybe than we've had in a long time. And also, I got to note, we have other Midwest cities and suburbs to this city that are on the move, that are doing a lot of things right. We have people, everybody, buildings and streets in this city that I can only best describe in one word, and that's tired. The good news is tired is temporary, and it can be changed quickly. And after talking to many of you, many of the leaders over the last couple weeks, and talking to the mayor personally yesterday, I would like to summarize what I believe and our company believes, and many of you believe, are 3 areas that are immediate important to this city. The first is we need to get the basics right. We need to improve our infrastructure, the local infrastructure, our buildings, our public safety, and we need to do a better job of taking care of those in need, the homeless. From a building perspective, I call it the RE-program, talking to a lot of you. We need to remodel, repurpose. Some buildings we may need to remove. We can move the dial, we all believe, some of us have talked, the fastest with the homeless. We need to break some of the pockets of poverty in downtown Indianapolis. Somebody shared yesterday with me, and I agree, homeless is visual, it's symbolic. It's the quickest way to make a change, and it's not who we are as Hoosiers. The basics matter, they need immediate attention, and I believe it's absolutely critical that over the next 24 months we get to work. Because instead of just attracting talent, we can start to lose talent. The second area is we need a state that welcomes, that creates unity, a tolerance for an inclusive community. Two things matter when you talk to a new talent today and you want them to come to, I'm doing a lot of it, I did it Monday. They want two things. They want brand and they want community. They want to say, hey, tell me about the brand of Indianapolis. You're moving your headquarters there, I might move. It's going to become the brand of me. The second is community. What kind of community is my family going to have? Melissa at the chamber said something I agree with. If you get them here, they don't leave. But we got to get more people here and more innovators here. I know politics are complex, everybody, but it's become a real headwind for myself and many leaders in this city. And in an effort to draw innovators and talent to this state, I believe strongly that the next generation of companies and talent won't tolerate dividing positions in politics. We need policies and programs that unite and build Indianapolis into an inclusive city where talents want to come and feel welcome, which means we need to consider our political positions in a holistic way when they're made. Government can be a major force for good. I had a front row seat to that, and Indiana can beat anybody. I saw the governor, the mayor, the Secretary of Commerce Chambers, and IEDC, and many others in this room to pull off great things, and we're extremely grateful. And we know we're in the right place in the city. They can be a great force for good. But let's not let politics paint the wrong shadow on this great state. Lastly and quickly is a simple thing, but it's a big thing, and we call it the attractors. We need to add more attractors to this city. Attractors create the opportunity for culture and community and connection. Attractors create reason to come to Indy. The post-COVID world, Deloitte actually did a study, and they showed that people want cities that are more human and nurturing with a strong sense of connection. The cities that are winning that I'm studying, some of us, I was in San Antonio last week, we've studied that, Kansas City, Nashville, others. The inner cities are places of energy and destination, ethnic food and activities and entertainment and arts. We got a lot of that here. We need more. We need more green shoots and more excitement. So those are the three areas. So how do we get there? To close, I think we all agree we need to do this. We're at a critical junction. I've talked to many people here, but there needs to be another gear, another level of urgency. So let me summarize. As some of you know me, I'm an action-oriented person. Here's a little bit of what I've heard would be a 4-point plan. First, we align as a community, private, public, nonprofit, and we own it. We make this a priority. I challenge leaders around here that we designate someone on our senior team that owns this and is accountable monthly to connect with people. Mine is Marcella Kerberger, our general counsel, that is here today. Second is we align to an agenda with a clear focus, I think, on what can move the needle the fastest. I heard pretty clearly homelessness and some of this getting the basics right. We believe it falls into getting these basics right, also being more unifying anywhere we can, and driving more attractors in this city. Third, we build on our competitive advantages. Just like any company, any sports team, where can we win? I've heard 5 things that nobody can beat Indiana on in Indianapolis. Conventions, sports, healthcare, academics, ag and life sciences, and I'm sorry I'm sitting at a table, and an airport. I would get ready for that, right? Yeah. Well done on that airport, right? Huh? What do you say to the airport? Just some of the green shoots. I mean, we have 2 new, this is big news, 2 universities standing up in the inner city with Purdue and IU. That's a big deal. What's going on with sports in the front of Gainbridge, and I'm hoping that soccer becomes a bigger sport. I'll just stop there in this city, right? IU Health and what Dennis and the team are doing, the biggest complex, the biggest employer, state-of-the-art complex there, as well as, my parent company, Eli Lilly, is is the envy of everybody in this space. We have a lot going on. We've moved 2 headquarters, some of the biggest agricultural companies in ourselves and Corteva here, and what Mitch Frazier and Agronovus is doing. So let's build on the advantages, and I end with being accountable on collective progress. We have no time for finger pointing. We also don't have time to be too Hoosier nice. We have to challenge, we have to be a little edgy, we have to speak directly. I think we've got 24 months to move quite quickly. We need less accolades and a little bit more accountability. Elanco is ready to be a catalyst and be part of this. We're committed. We are extremely thankful to what's been done by this state and this city for us. We've got the right organizations and structures. We've got great leaders of those organizations. We don't need to invent something new. We need to collaborate with what we have. I want to thank everyone here and being part of this, and know that we are all in and everything you do to move Indianapolis forward. I want to also take a moment and thank Governor Holcomb and his team, Secretary Chambers, amazing leadership in IEDC, Mayor Hogsett and the City of Indianapolis, the Lilly Endowment, the force in the city, the CICP and CICF, the nonprofits, the Chamber and Melissa, and many others that work tirelessly for the city. We have an opportunity to do this right. Indianapolis, we need to act now. It's our time. There's a great next 2 years that lie ahead. Thank you. Look forward to the questions.
Jeff, do you want some water?
Let's hear it for our airport, right?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for... I guess I owe you lunch or something, right? All right. That was fantastic. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thanks, sir.
I've got a couple of questions that I was thinking about. You know, one of them is you and your company are leaders in the space, and you're figuring that you'll create an epicenter for animal health and innovation.
Yep.
Can you expand on that? Especially, how is that going to work in a post-COVID decentralized world? How do you see that coming together? Because in order to create an epicenter, you have to have a volume of people living in a certain area.
Right. So maybe there's two. There's the headquarters and what we're building, not the building. And I would just say this. I think, what's the future of work? There's as many people in here with as many of opinions. I think it needs to be a evolution, not a revolution. It cannot be a mandate. It won't be like it was, and I don't think it's going to be like it is. There's energy coming back. I went to a conference last year, this one I just talked about, 6,000 people. There was 26 to 28,000 people this year. So there's data that says people want community. They want places to go, but you have to make the places to go. And we're saying, and there's a great team here that's helping with our facility, it has to be something that can compete with staying at home. So you got to have people you love to be around. You got to build a culture that wins. You got to be chasing purposeful, noble work and give them a chance to go do that work. I think that's really critical. I think that culture matters more than ever, and amenities matter more than ever. We've got to have incubators and more of an external environment on our campus. And there has to be energy in doing that. It can't be, I require you to come here. It has, I can't miss out, I got to be there. And I think that's important. And so it'll evolve as we're building the building and we're building the campus. I will say, having a state park on the front yard, looking at the, looking at the city and all the things that we have that we're planning to do, it's the right location.
I was going to ask you another question, but going back, great companies have really great cultures, and leaders have different type of perspectives on what that means. What does that mean to you? How does that attract your next generation and your next leaders into the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be vulnerable to say we've acquired 14 or 15 companies. We were part of Lilly, and Lilly said, hey, we want to grow this thing up, and we acquired a lot of companies. When you acquire and not hire people, most of them being European companies, culture was really strong in Elanco, but it's had its seasons of challenges. I mean, I'm just being, and I think culture is constant work. You never arrive, but you talk about it. We talk about it all the time. We say it's like water to fish. You know, you don't know it's there till it's gone. We're getting a lot of boomerang employees that come back, and the reason they come back is culture. I think in Elanco, we look at our customers we serve: farmers, veterinarians, pet owners, humble people, noble work, stay small. Humility is essential, and determination and being relentless to get after it and pioneer and build something is important. So something I do is I give my cell phone to everybody in the company, every new employee group. Not as I get a lot of texts sometimes, but more importantly is it's a symbol to say nobody's more important than anyone else. Call someone, text somebody. We're all in this thing together. There's not levels. That's a symbol. I don't know what it is in your company, but I think symbolizing what you want is really important, and then live by it.
Got it. Sounds like good words. Attracting talent is the number one thing that everybody talks about nowadays. What do you hear when you're trying to attract talent? What does talent need to come here, apart from what you've already mentioned, which is very relevant?
Well, look, I'll speak, and I want to be very, there's a balance here. Indiana is, and talking to Melissa at the Chamber and others, I mean, truly, this is a secret ingredient if we can get people to relocate here. And I really believe that it offers, I compete against New Jersey and pharmaceutical companies, or Boston, and you have optionality here. For our business in animal health, you can have out on the east side of Indianapolis, you can have, not far out, you can have 20 acres and a barn and a horse, very economically. You can live on Mass Ave. You can be in Carmel. So I think the options of different lifestyles is great. And I think also the culture of a Hoosier being people that care and really care, create a community, and that's what people want coming out of COVID more than anything else. So to me, I think it's being able to get people here to show them what we have, and that's why I think the next 24 months of this city is the more we can create more momentum in this city in the next 24 months, I think it'll become a magnet to attract. I worry the other way is something we need to be careful. I was having dinner the other night with somebody, a major brand manager, and I was talking about his family, and he goes, yeah, well, we moved to Des Moines out of COVID. And I said, you did what? You didn't call me on that. He said, well, I can do that now. And you know, Indianapolis isn't what it was before COVID. And I went on offense and said, no, that's not right. But I think we need to watch that. That's important. So,
now, one observation I had, and I'd like your thoughts on this, is that unlike other places, and by the way, IDDC with Elaine Beadle is working on this problem very hard. Indiana doesn't have a negative brand image.
right.
It doesn't have much of an image. So it's very difficult to compete against places which have bigger brand images, obviously not a negative brand image, but more brand image than Indiana itself. Can I have your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's all upside. As I said, these 5 areas of advantage are real, and people see them when they get here. This is becoming a mecca of scientists, and healthcare is a big deal. And I think what we're good at is where the world is going as well. Entertainment, healthcare, you know, agriculture and food, and feeding people with less resources. So to me, I think it's an opportunity. I know CICP is looking at this, the Chamber and all the Indy organizations, and I think it's a great opportunity. I think we, though, have to be careful that we, every step we take as people are starting, there's a lot of people moving to off the coastlines and moving to the center of the country. We just need to make sure we know who our competition is, and to make sure that we're keeping pace. I think that's important. And some countries that put their stake down on branding themselves, it sounds like with this data, and I've seen some of this, we have an opportunity to do that.
Sounds good. You mentioned something interesting, at least to me it was interesting. Your efforts and your focus on climate change and changing climate change, and actually changing the digestive system of cattle to help in the climate change problem. I've got a couple of, obviously, the basic question is, what else are you doing? But also, a personal question is, in changing the digestive system of cattle, does that change the protein at the end, or the product that you're getting?
Absolutely no change in
Okay, just in
it's
case.
actually making cows healthier and
All
making
right.
them more efficient and making their ruminant, their stomach actually better is actually a better thing. So look, there's very simple. I could get off on a tangent here. I'm pretty passionate, as the company knows about this, is people sometimes say, hey, with Meatless Mondays, yes, diet is very personal. But protein grew 50% the last decade. It's predicted to grow 50% again the next decade. This is meat, milk, eggs, fish. Why? GDP has grown internationally, but you all know, if I had a raise of hand, how many people have been on a protein-based diet? Carbs and sugar are down, protein's up. So there's some people out there saying, you're going to change the world's diet. No, you're not. But what you can do is change the footprint and where it comes from. And so what we are doing is helping look at what farmers do to their land, what happens in the animal, and what happens out of the animal, actually reducing that. And there are farms that have a roadmap to actually say they will capture more emissions than they will actually create, and that's a climate neutral farm. We have a large dairy farm between here and Chicago that is doing this, and they're making money off the carbon market and biodigester fuel, Fair Oaks, as much as they are off milk. It is happening, it's coming, and one of the companies we spun out is Athean from High Alpha and Scott Dorsey and Elliott, and this will actually take the data from a farm, it will certify it, it will aggregate it, it will put it into the carbon market that people are paying, and will actually return dollars to farmers. We believe that's a reality that can happen this year.
Oh, fantastic. Going more into the personal things that you do every day, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in the community yourself. What organizations do you belong to? How are you pushing for betterment of the community, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to turn that question more back into the mirror and say, I think we can do more, and I can do more, our company can do more. We had a conversation at lunch here is, how are we engaging enough of the individuals inside Elanco into our community? And I think I need to do a better job as a leader to make sure we've got a lot going on, but I think as we come to Indianapolis, even before we get here, we need to spend more time making sure that we're activated in the right organizations. And I think that's where I would like to kind of pivot that conversation. And I think look for me as well to play a bigger role in some of the things here in the city. That was the conversation with the mayor yesterday, which is, I want to participate and be involved in this. I don't want to point fingers. I want to be involved, and I want to work on stuff that can make quick, meaningful, move-the-needle effects. So that, I would say that there's some nonprofits I've been involved in. I'm a big believer in hunger in Indiana, and a lot of great ag farmers, not agriculture, but the white ag farmers like Rose Acres and MPS have participated with us, and we are taking low-valued ags, buying them. The CEO, Danny Leckie, is here, and Hatch is feeding today. Last year, about 30 million two-ag meals, and we've got a very aggressive strategic plan to say we're taking low-value protein and putting that into food pantries all over the United States. That's something I'm pretty passionate about. I believe a child with 2 eggs in the morning talking to mom and dad creates a whole different morning than a Pop-Tart in the backpack on the way to school. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Now, we obviously have some engineers or architects in the crowd. What is the number one reason for the delay in construction on Elanco's new headquarters, and when is it going to begin?
You ever build a house? I haven't in a while. We got a great team. I'll just point to Sheila Sexton, CSO, many people here, Bose McKinney. There's a lot of people to play. There's a lot of complexity on an older site. I used to fly over, the last year and a half, I'd fly over and look at Lucas Oil and this big 40, 50 acre piece of concrete. And all I would say is there's been a miraculous amount of work done. There's been compromising. Again, you're going to run into obstacles. We go after homelessness. It's not going to be easy. But what I see, you put Hoosiers together collectively, even round 2 to get this site ready. The concrete's gone. We're digging. There's Dave Kennard said there's 10, or head of HR, there's 8 to 10 backhoes out there digging right now. But, you know, there's complexity to make things happen. And all I would say is everyone is around a table saying we will find a way. And we move very quickly. So we're moving. We hope in the next couple years, I'll leave it there, that we're cutting tape, we're moving in. And what I'm excited about is where the company will be at that time. The trajectory will be exciting. Until then, Greenfield's our home, and we're going to be building and expanding and doing everything we can to bring more here. And our footprint in Vermilion County, Terre Haute, and Clinton, Indiana continues to grow and expand. That's a key part of our business.
All right. We've got a question from an educator asking what mechanisms are in place or can be created to support a pipeline between universities and Elanco or other businesses that will come with this epicenter?
Yeah, a tremendous amount. We have a lot of allegiances today with Purdue, especially on the agricultural side and the animal side. But that doesn't mean even there are connections in IU, a very strong internship program with Rolls-Holman and the engineers and manufacturing. But I would just say on the research side, you know, what we attempt to do is find the specialist. You know, if we're doing feline diabetes, we're tapping into the people that have those expertise that can accelerate. And we have a very open innovation model, maybe even more so than human pharma. I jokingly say human pharma is pretty easy. It's one species. To my Lilly friends, it's a little joke, right? But we've got 19. So finding specialists and experts in universities is really critical. Purdue will play a very critical role as we continue to expand and grow. It already is, and it'll do more.
All right. You touched upon accountability for change, and where does this accountability lie, in your opinion? And I know you may answer the question by saying it lies in all of us, and we all have to make sure. But where, in your view, does this accountability for change lie, especially with the city, especially with the state?
Yeah, I'll use an example. We got in a room a few years ago, and the Indy Hunger Network was developed by a bunch of very, very smart people. And I sat in the back of the room, and I watched a whole bunch of nonprofits, government, and private companies get together. And the agendas went away, and the destination was, hey, how do we make enough meals every year to make that become a reality? There was a common goal. I think that's the same thing right now with Indianapolis. We might have, my challenge is we don't want to go too wide with the agendas. There's a lot of good things happening, but the things that really matter most, for Dennis Murphy say this, we've got to move the needle the most on the things that matter, and we can create the shortest, quickest impact. And I think it's get the destination right, get the right people in the room, and the humility of Indiana is not, you know, this is my association, I'm not doing that. I think that's where it's got to come. So, and I think there's a lot of things set up, and I want to emphasize, we don't need new initiatives or new organizations to do that. We need unity and getting the right people in the right room. And then we need people like myself holding people on our teams accountable to mobilize our resources. Private side can do more.
Oh, fantastic. You know, I've lived in a lot of places and traveled a lot of places, and I'm a big Indy and Indianapolis cheerleader.
It's a great airport, did I tell you, by the way?
It's fantastic. It's just a wonderful, wonderful airport. Let me ask you a question. And you mentioned a couple of places like San Antonio and different places that you've seen. Although San Antonio has a lot of deep flaws that I've seen, what places have you seen that are competitors that we could see a good example of change and innovation and things of that nature?
Yeah. We acquired Bayer Animal Health, and they were headquartered in Kansas City. Some of you know Kansas City. We have a lot of employee base in Kansas City.
Horrible airport.
Horrible airport. Worst airport, actually. Part of the decision, too. But I mean, you know, Cologne, Germany, and Dusseldorf, Germany, with Bayer, Germany. And I would just say, as you look at some of the cities where I'm trying to say, hey, we'd like you to move here, I think there's a few things. I think identity and where you go, Mario, is a very important one, is creating the identity of what the city is. We've got more identity than maybe we get recognition for. I think that's important. I do think, one night on my own when I was in Kansas City, I walked the streets late at night, as I did, I had a board meeting and senior management meeting here in Indianapolis, and the experience was different. They've got some of the basics right. They've got their brand. They're known for a few things. And so I would challenge, and I'm not trying to do a comparison, I'm just saying that I think we have a lot more matter to make a bigger difference than most cities, including the ones I just mentioned. And what we need to do is make sure that we get, I think coming out of post-COVID, we need to shift that a little faster. No question, everyone's talking about Austin and Nashville and some of the others, but people, I think people are very curious and interested in Indianapolis. And we have something that I can't put my finger on, that once people move here, we've had restructurings where people have been restructured. They don't leave, they stay here. They might work for somebody else, but they stay here.
And this is just a personal question, but should we be looking at growth in broader terms? For example, be careful what you ask for, you may just get it. There are many communities in the United States that have grown amazingly fast and have created this wonderful attraction and have ruined a good thing.
Right.
Should we be looking at it a little bit more methodically, a little bit more intelligently, instead of, there are things we should go after and things we should not go after. And I don't know if I'm fumbling for words here, because it's a delicate balance between economic development and dropping 50,000 people into a community and causing all sorts of havoc.
Yeah. I think I credit, you look at a CICP, what's been done, IEDC, the leadership, I think they've got the mission well. I've seen them out on the road. I've seen them in action. I think they have clear definition of where we can win and what should come here and what should not. Their quick study, there's a couple things we're doing environmentally. I was just shocked at how fast IEDC and Brad Chambers and the team put together what they thought. I've even helped them with some of the protein industry, et cetera, and it's impressive. So what I would say is I think that, yeah, growth needs to be measured, but let's not be tempered, I think, on growth. I think we can do that, but it's an and story. We also need to get the hygiene and the basics right. And I think we all know, I mean, we need to find ways to fill the buildings, repurpose the buildings, and create a little bit more energy while we're bringing more companies into town. I think that's important. So I have confidence in the organizations and the leadership today that the definitions are right, that I don't think we would probably bring the wrong industry or wrong people here.
Sounds fantastic. And I think we are at a time. Jeff, thank you very much. This was wonderful. Let's give Jeff a round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks.
Let's see. And, to close off, today's presentation will be available at economicclubofindiana.com. Please join us next month on Thursday, February 9th, as we welcome Pete Yonkman, the president of Cook Group. Be sure to purchase your tickets to join us for an engaged conversation. Information and tickets for each of this season's presentations can be found on economicclubofindiana.com. And as a reminder, if you parked at the Plaza Park Garage, don't forget to pick up your QR code. And again, thank you very much for coming.